minute on that. At least you are not a stranger. Thank you.
I feel like a stranger today. My name is Khanyisile Kweyama. I was born in Atteridgeville in Pretoria. I maybe touch on my corporate experience first, which probably is most relevant. I have worked for a variety of multinationals in South Africa, some South Africa based, some based outside the country. I have worked in different roles. I have worked in human resources. I've worked in communications. I've been an executive on group excos. I've served on boards, some listed, others not. I am a member of the National Planning Commission. I have represented South African business on the BRICS Business Council until recently when I was appointed to chair the SABC interim board. I am a mother and a grandmother. I have 2 daughters and 2 grandsons.
Thank you very much. Members, can we start with Honorable Van Dam?
Thanks, Chairperson. Thank you, Ms. Kweyama, for making yourself available. And again, to just say thank you for the great work that the interim board has done at the SABC. Like I said to to Matata Tsedu, you came to the SABC and found an organization at ground zero. We put a lot of pressure on you as the committee and also the public, and I think you've achieved quite a lot within a short space of time. I just have one question. So you also currently chair Brand SA.
Correct.
Given the workload at the SABC, are you able to chair both entities?
I've been chairing Brand SA for about 2.5 years now, and Brand SA is a relatively smooth organization. The systems are in place, we have a functioning board, so I have been able to. There hasn't been one that's been lacking. I also serve on the Telkom board, and I think I should say that so far there hasn't been a conflict. I guess every company in South Africa does receive services from Telkom at some stage or the other. Part of my reason for not stepping down for any of the boards was that this was an interim board. And I don't know whether I'll be back on the board in the next round when a permanent board is appointed. I think if I am appointed to the permanent board, I would obviously have to review where my interests and where I'd best serve. And at that time, then I could look at whether Brand SA is one that I should be leaving or not.
One additional question. I mean, if we do keep you on the board, what is it that you'd like to achieve that you haven't been able to achieve as a member of the interim board?
For me, there are probably 2 things. There could be 3, but the 2 that stand out the most that I believe is one would leave the SABC with a bit of a sore heart, is that we have not been able to obtain a guarantee so that we start bringing the SABC back to financial stability. And I also believe that the appointment of key of the top executives at the SABC is one that we had hoped that we would have done by the time we leave. But at the same time, you know, in 6 months, we started the process towards turning around the SABC. There were a couple of issues, and we had to make an assessment as to what comes first. You know, do we chase the money first, or do we ensure that the organization is stable? And I think the people issues obviously are some of the matters that we've dealt with and reported to this committee, that without people who are functioning and with a lot of the hojas that were hanging around them, we needed to start with those. I think we're also guided by the report that Parliament had given us, so we're almost going through it in that way. So I would say those 2, the third one would obviously be getting people to a state where they really feel that the SABC is an organization that they want to work at. I think we've started that process, but there's still a lot of work to be done.
Are you done? Are you okay? All right, Honorable Doze, it's your turn now. Teacher?
Re teng na le kae ntate?
Re teng re. Le re ke itse re nna go kae go pele. Let me start by thanking you for having done your best. Okay, we basically had collapsed in that area, but together with the others, whom you led, of course, we were able to rectify the situation. So we think, of course, unless you tell us the opposite, but we think at least we have gone somewhere. But then what I want to check is the political problems. Because at some stage we were informed that there was a political interference, and as it was reported by the shareholder, the person who was there, the minister, that is, as it was reported, of course, that as a sequel to her interference in the way that she has, as it was reported, there were some problems. I therefore am saying, are you able to say something there so that we then are able to correct this kind of thing as we go on? That is the first thing. Secondly, the issue of, the monies that we owe the workers. I mean, I know very many workers are not working properly there. You have about 3,000 is about 4,000, and 3,600 thereabout. Workers are kind of permanent and the rest are not. And as a result of that, they are not getting proper salaries at the end of the month, something which we need to deal with. Have you thought about that? Okay. So those are the things that I only want to check. But then I want to say that you have done an excellent work, and I'm very happy, really. Congratulations for having done that, or for the people of South Africa.
Thank you, Honorable Madisha. I was born in Matebeleng, Mazakela, and my mother lives in Mzimdala.
Gomzimdal.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. In terms of political problems, I always struggle to unpack political, and maybe you could assist. I hear that you are talking about problems with the minister and interference by shareholder, but I believe that we deal with the problems. I haven't at any stage felt that I'm in such a corner, and maybe as a chairperson, that I can't function in the past 6 months. Whether that is because of pushing back, or whether that is because of sometimes focusing on what you have to do. So unless you unpack the political problems, I think I won't give you a proper answer. Do we have instances where we felt leave the board to do what the board is supposed to do, this doesn't fall into the shareholder space? Yes, there have been instances like that, but I believe that we have resolved the ones that we were faced with at a particular time. There was a meeting that we had with Minister, together with the Department of Communications, and issues like that came out where we felt, we need responses, we need that. So I don't know whether those are political or whether those are administrative, whether it's a matter of the department turning around time, some simple things where we feel something is quite urgent and we need a response. And it turns out that it was delivered at DOC but did not go through to the minister's office. So I don't know whether that could be deemed a political problem, or whether it just says that there are systems that are not functioning.
Just to clarify, it was indicated by one of the persons who came here that
Panel
the
Matish.
previous
Panel Matish.
time. Sorry?
Let's respect the 5 minutes rule.
Is it done?
Done already. It's done already.
Okay.
Yeah, she had the 1 minute to respond. She had 1 minute to respond. But
Okay.
can you and I think she did respond, eh? She did respond. Honorable Doze?
Yeah, Ms. Kweyama, I'm as well persuaded. I just had one question, and that's why I agreed that you must come and be interviewed. And that question is if you are available to be in the board again. But because you are here, it means that you are. So I'm answered. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Honorable Kalako?
Thank you, Chairperson. Good afternoon, Khanyisile. For me, it's also to thank you for serving in the interim board at a time when it was so demanding for you to be there. The only question, Chair, I will want from is the question, the clarity we asked from the other 3 members who were before us from the interim board of this, what is this company? There's a company which wrote a letter. There are people who wrote a letter that all the interim board people must not be back because of, what is it, Mjai what? Mjai into njalo. Just to clarify us on that, we did get the clarity from others.
Thank you, Honorable Kalako. I want to start with the standard disclaimer that says the matter is under legal, or they usually say sub judice, but it hasn't gone to court. What has happened is that Mjaeli has written letters from their lawyer to the SABC, so our legal teams are addressing the questions. They really relate to clarifying requests for information and that type of thing. Having said that, it has disturbed me personally. That it seems like there was some undoing by the board, because the last thing we need is to be a board that comes to fix, and then we end up being dragged into being part of the problem. But I'd like to assure the panel that the board did not interfere with any processes. The board did not go out and start a tender process that is running on itself. But if you could allow me to just say, we need the lawyers to respond. I've also felt personally harassed because I've really received a lot of harassment on that matter.
Thank you very much. Members, I think we're done. Honorable Matish.
Ndiyabulela that. I am Hlekazwa. Ndiyabulela. Thank you very much. Is this issue, the political issue that I raised, it was indicated that the minister before the present one, there are things that she did. I mean, even a person from, is it the CASA or the other person that we interviewed, okay, was told to do certain things and was instructed that unless she did that, there was going to be a problem. I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. So that's the political interference that I'm referring to.
Okay. If you are referring to Minister Mutambi, we really never worked with Minister Mutambi as an SABC board. When we were appointed and the president made the announcement, a few days later, we got the letters from Minister Mutambi saying we should not be appointed. So that stopped, and then by the time Minister Dlodlo came in, the first thing she did was to make the appointment. So not Brand SA, yes, at Brand SA I have worked with Minister Mutambi. But as SABC, no, we have not worked with Minister Mutambi.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Honorable Member. Do you have anything, ma'am, to say to members? To
Yes.
the panel?
To the panel. No, I think also our appreciation, for the way that we have received support from the committee. And I suspect that some of the reason that our work has been made smoother is the ability to reach out, whether to the chair or to even members, and send an SMS and really explain where we are. I think I haven't experienced that, where you are able to interact with members from all political parties and know that you can ask, you can clarify. We at no stage felt that this committee was ganging up against us, and that really has assisted to give us the confidence that we can go out and do our work, and that what we will get from the committee is support rather than a hindrance. So we also need to thank you for having worked with us in the past 5.5 months.
Thank you very much, Candidate Kweyama.